I'm Johnny here from Johnny's Car Care and Reviews with some new mic equipment. Hoping you can all hear us extremely well because we've got an extremely exciting topic that is on fire and one that burns me pretty badly. So hopefully the car community here, we can put some pressure. Hopefully we can get somewhere with this because this is ridiculous. Yes, Toyota on fire, claims denied. Toyota's starting to look not quite as reliable and trustworthy as their decades long held reputation would hold for decades. They've been extremely reliable and very good when it comes to warranty work and claims. And I'm a little disappointed at the moment. And well, Maverick sales are on fire. We're not just going to be talking about that, folks. We're going to be talking about a whole lot more. Just to give you a little quick rundown of the episode, we've got the main header, the thumbnail there. We're going to be talking about Stellantis laying off thousands of people. I was worried about this back when the strike was occurring and the demands were being made. And now I'm disappointed to find out about a model being canceled. Just talked about this a few weeks ago, that it looked like likely some models would be cut from the North American line based on what Stellantis CEO said. So we've got news about that. Cutting out the Ram Classic. We've got Corolla GRs on fire. We're going to be talking about how the Ford Maverick powertrain works. And if we have time, we'll do a nice little build-in price of your various models of Ford Maverick and the prices. We also have aftermarket Ford Bronco hardtop drama. That's really, really bad news there. And I'm really sorry for anyone who's affected by that, because right now it's not looking like people are getting refunded. Recently, we catch our video, we crashed and damaged our Ford Bronco, so we'll talk a little bit about that. You can see some photos loitering here, but catch the full video, what happened, what you can do. Let us make the mistakes so that you save thousands of dollars, not making the mistakes that we make here. Let us make the mistakes for you. All you have to do is watch and enjoy, and if you want to help us out, please like and subscribe. We're also going to be talking about the 2.7 liter on the Bronco versus the 3 liter V6, because we did get to test drive and have a heck of a lot of fun with a Bronco Raptor. And as we played around with our Wild Track, so a 2.7 liter V6 versus 3 liter, some nice little surprising outcomes there. And thank you very much, Ridgeview, for the support. Aurora, good evening. Thank you so much for making it, folks. Very, very kind. Outsider Reviews, thank you so much. Had a blast with you. Thank you for going through that process with us and giving us access to that Bronco Raptor. Never got access to a Ranger Raptor because we're still not scheduled for a build there. If we have time, we'll also talk about some Bronco hardtops. And a lot of YouTube news in regards to Toyota. I just want to give a special thanks to Tim Bartz and Sarah, as well as Chuck and family, Aurora and Chuck, and everyone, Annie, of course. But we had a fantastic time about a month ago in the White Mountains. Really enjoyed North Conway, a little mini putt, a little here dinner at the Wild Rose. So we had a great time. We've got our moderator there, and we've got Layla having a little 2-day vacation. So thank you so much, Ridgeview, Tim Bartz, Sarah, Annie, Aurora. Great spending time with you. And of course, you never know when we'll get a rant on the show, but the rants are meant to be educational, and would love to see some turnaround in many aspects of society. But one of them is how unbelievably unhealthy food is compared to what it was in the 1950s. There's a little example, let you read away there, but ice cream used to be natural with raw milk, honey, organic vanilla, and egg yolks. And now it's not at all what it is. It's all sorts of canola oil, vegetable oil, processed, industrialized vegetable oil. So not good at all. Remember, the longer a food is made to last, the worse it'll be for your body's digestive system. So a lot of talk tonight, but let's just jump right into it. Let's not take 20 minutes to jump into all the details. We'll cover a bit of everything in the show tonight, but let's just jump right into it. We've got Toyota is on fire, folks, and it's not the good kind of fire. It's not, incredible sales type fire. It's just fire, as in bad. The whole corporation is, in my opinion, kind of, you could say, burning down because they're not being the Toyota that we all have learn to love. So let's get in episode 1, let's jump right into this, let's cover it all, and then we'll talk about Maverick sales being on fire. Even if you put in your Maverick order already, it's not too late to change your Maverick order. So let's go together through the build and price. Make sure you don't get fooled, tell you what's standard, because I think some people are going to think, according to build and price, that, oh, I have to get the Lariat model to get that co-pilot, or maybe they'll know it's an optional option on the XLT and feel they have to get an XLT just to get the co-pilot. But there's a good base co-pilot 360, so technology to keep you safe when driving, that's based on the XL. So we're going to be covering a bit of what are the important things, the must-know for Maverick information, and we'll cover that through building one and a lot on how does that hybrid system work? If you're new to hybrid systems, and maybe you're even new to Ford, I'm going to give you a really basic but in-depth, an in-depth 101. How does that powertrain, hybrid powertrain on the Ford Maverick work? So if you're a Maverick fan, stay tuned, watch to the end, because we'll be doing that from about the middle of the show all the way to the end. And the planned target for this show is 1 hour. So let's jump right in here. Episode 1, Toyota is on fire. Claims are being denied. This is serious. This is something that really irks me. It bothers me. And I hope that the automobile journalist community doesn't just think about where all your ad revenue comes from and kind of gloss over, either not cover or cover for a very short period of time, these stories, because there's multiple stories when it comes to Toyota reliability, but also Toyota denying claims and just being downright dirty and difficult. So let's get into Toyota being downright dirty and difficult. And this is too bad, because this is coming from one of the automobile companies that used to be the most reliable and generally really problem-free. And when you would have that occasional claim, they're really good about it. And I mean really, really good about it. They're known for saying yes to warranty work and not just looking, because right now what I see going down, it's not just Toyota looking for an excuse and finding an excuse and denying it. It almost seems like maybe they're making up an excuse. So we'll get into that, because the whole Toyota question warranty almost has me in one instance wonder, can you really drive a Toyota on the interstate? Because basically the claim denial almost boils down to parts of the USA, you can't drive on the interstate because they're saying, no, you're denied, claim denied, because you went over 85 miles per hour. Folks, that's 136.7 kilometers an hour. In Jersey, on the turnpike, if you're not driving between 80 and 90 miles per hour, you're getting driven off the road. There's parts of Florida on the Interstate 95. If you're not doing 80, 85, 87 miles per hour, you are just being blown by the traffic. So let's get into this story fully. Let's cover all the aspects, because we're talking about transmission problems, we're talking about motor problems, and we're talking about fire, and fires that take out entire vehicles and then just aren't covered by Toyota. And I hope that this gets covered for weeks and weeks, to the point where this Toyota story leads to Toyota going back to the Toyota they used to be. The Toyota that I grew up on, loving, appreciating. I almost went to work for a Toyota dealer some 12, 13 years ago. And I was enamored with their product. And I was like, I was asked, why Toyota? And I said, well, to me, it makes sense to pay a little more to get something that's reliable and trustworthy. But these practices aren't quite trustworthy. So let's start from the furthest in recent times, the furthest problem that they ignored, to the most recent. We're going to cover it all here. So please, folks, before we officially really dive deep into this, help us out. Hit the thumbs button, share this content, and if you aren't already subscribed, please do. Hit the bell notifications, turn them on so you don't miss anything. M Peugeot, Ridgeview, 4 high, 4 low, the WB. We've got a lot of returning community members that really help keep this channel going. So if you're already a subscriber, thank you so much. If you're a member like Outsider Reviews or Ridgeview, thank you so much. And don't forget, catch Outsider Reviews Wild Track. He's going to be posting his video probably a little bit before mine, but we're out playing in the sand, forest, mud, muck, everything, cross some streams. Catch his channel, subscribe to his channel. I want to see my friend Outsider Reviews, a vet, a brother. I want to see his channel go over 1,000 subscribers, well over 1,000 subscribers, but we got to get him to 1,000 subscribers so he can actually be monetized, because this guy has way more equipment than me. I feel, you know, pretty fancy just buying these Rode microphones recently. But thank you everyone for making it to the show. Now let's dive right into it. Put the pedal to the metal, folks. 102,000 Toyota Tundras and Lexus LXs recalled for potential engine failure. Let's just do the little background. It took quite a while for Toyota to get to this point, and this puts the corporation, you could say, on fire, because they're having to change out entire motors. And at first they went down the road of don't know what's going on, your situation's unique, blah blah, and they were difficult. They weren't just quickly giving people warranty work, fixing what had gone wrong. Of course, they, companies do this. Toyota's not the only one, that they'll have analysis, look at the situations, look into the computers, see what's going on. Yes, your vehicle spies on you. That's not just that Toyota, but these Toyotas are very much spying on people. And you know that if you continue watching, when we get to the last Toyota story in about 7 or 8 minutes, you'll really know how bad this is and how concerning this is for us, the consumers of what used to be, and in good part, still a top-notch quality product. But they gotta stand by when things go wrong. So at first, the hybrid engine, YouTubers were having problems with them. A lot of people were having problems with them, and they just weren't able to quickly jump on the bandwagon and say, look, this is clearly our fault. You've got low miles. Let's just fix it. No, they want to analyze everything and try to find a way out. And I don't like it. I don't like the automobile manufacturers starting to act more and more like insurance companies. But Toyota, down to the facts, Toyota is finally recalling the 102,000 vehicles. This took quite a while, not just months, but over a year, because these problems were straight out from when the hybrid first dropped. It's 102,000 units, and I said that I'd have a ton of respect for Toyota. I said this months and months and months ago at the beginning of this whole story process. I said I'd really respect it if they did the right thing and they just recalled the whole engines, because if you recall, if you've been here for a long time, like a lot of our members that I mentioned earlier, I mentioned, how can you possibly have 3 engine production plants on it's 3 different countries, and it's not only 3 different countries, they're on different continents. How did all of them happen to just have some metal shavings at the bottom of the engine bay? And they're still saying, not by the way, that it's a oversight, that some shavings were left at the bottom of the engine. But I still feel that the engine is grenading, that the engine's just not great. But we'll find out when these new engines get put in these vehicles, if some of the new engines, which supposedly are now manufactured without shavings at the bottom of the engine, maybe it is an error in engine manufacturing that occurred in 3 different locations, 3 different countries, 3 different continents. But it puts some doubts in my mind. It makes me think that maybe there's an actual issue with how the motor was built and engineered. And maybe they'll keep the story this way, and maybe I'm right, but maybe it's been corrected. Maybe, they've changed something with the oil distribution. We may never know, but we'll definitely know one thing. If the new engines start to blow, we'll know that the whole design is wrong. And then they need to look at going into, do they fit another engine in there? What we do know, what is a fact, is that Resale Value and Tim Esterdale, fantastic journalist over at Pickup Truck, SUV and Pickup Truck Talk. Tim Esterdale, check out his channel. He's one of the few journalists that I feel does pretty much a perfect job. Doesn't seem to be swayed by whatever vehicle happens to be loaned to him for a week or two. His press vehicle. It doesn't seem to be swayed by that, because he says, he covers the real deal. The way here, I make sure that I cover as best I can, because we all have biases, but I do my best to cover the real deal. He covered this fantastically. He's got a full, about a 14-minute video just talking about what's going down at Toyota, so you can catch that. But he brought up a great point, and he said he looked at his Toyota Tundra hybrid that he had, what he sold it for versus what it's going for now. And he also looked at, averages. So he actually used, I love it, he uses data. And the data that he found is, guess what? Trade value from April until now has dropped $5,800 US. So the value of these new model, the new generation, the most recent generation of Tundras, it's affecting current owners. Even if you get a new engine, it's affecting current owners who want to switch. April was before they recalled all the engines. Now, 4 months later, they're worth almost $6,000 less, $5,800 US less on average, their trade-in value. So, and their sale value. So that's really affecting the value of the vehicle. But one interesting thing, if you have the old generation with, the 5.7 liter V8, which after all the years and years that they've used it for, and despite its pretty bad fuel economy, value on those have gone up. So keep that in mind. If you've got a previous model, previous generation Tundra, your value has gone up. But Toyota did do the right thing. They recalled all the engines. That means no customers are going to get blamed on how they drove, how they accelerated, what top speed they did. So kudos to you, Toyota. I did say that if you did the right thing, I'd be extremely impressed, and I'm extremely impressed. You've done the right thing. It's amazing. However, you very quickly then turned around and are kind of doing the wrong thing all over again. So I'm going to just open up the show here if I can, turn down the sound. I want to be catching all your comments on this. Sunjib, thanks for making it in. And Peugeot is saying he understands if the warranty work isn't covered if you hit 88 miles per hour and the flux capacitor kicks in, or if you added nitrous, for example. That would all be very, very legit. But no, let's make it to the next story, slowly moving to that burned car, why Toyota's on fire. But Toyota, the new Tacoma has had transmission problems. And interesting enough, if we head over to the drive here, a story by Nico DeMattia, he points out how on Truck King, so Truck King is also an excellent YouTube channel. Lots of respect for him because he's interesting, entertaining, and doesn't seem to be swayed either by what happens to be in his yard. And I guess at this point, he really shouldn't be swayed. He's probably not going to be giving probably doesn't have the best things to say about Toyota right now because it's pretty ridiculous. He's had the transmission problem. And let's go down to it right here. Some people have had, you've got, you can catch this article and read right through it, but one transmission failed at 342 miles as someone who is an Arizonian bought in North Carolina was driving the Tacoma back to Arizona, and the transmission went on the Tacoma TRD Pro. So that's a forum member from Tacoma World, Fosta, Fostuhh. So you can catch this story. Yeah, this isn't great. Tacoma transmission failures. At the time of publishing, 13 known by the National Highway, the NHTSA, 13 that are known, but it's got to be more than that. You've got Truck King over here on YouTube. He had the Tacoma 6-speed and it broke suddenly. And that's when one of the hosts was trying to shift from 5th into 3rd. And is Toyota saying, oh, our bad, we've had other transmissions that go. We understand. And yes, Outsider Reviews pointing out that TFL also had an issue with their Tacoma breaking down. I watched that off-road video, and they're doing, when it broke, they're doing considerably lighter off-roading than what Outsider Reviews and Pat and I were doing. Because we got stuck a few times. I'm pretty happy with that 2.7. Did a good job of pulling out that heavy but very extremely powerful 3-liter Raptor Bronco. But we've got several YouTubers having problems. And what did Truck King get told? Truck King got told, oh, you went from 5th to 1st. This is user error. we call a code 18. It's between the 18 inches or so between the steering wheel and the back headrest. So essentially they're saying, they're not just essentially saying it, Toyota is saying, Truck King, it's your air. But oddly, this was filmed, recorded, released on YouTube. And what's funny, what the drive notes, so Nico here, Nico Dematzia, notes that there's no sound that would go along with to corroborate this story. When you go from fifth into first, you definitely, you hear some pretty warlike sounds. You've got some grinding and some screeching, popping. It's a nasty sound. That would have been caught by, it doesn't have to be a microphone, doesn't have to be a 15-year-old cell phone would pick up what's going on in that transmission. So oddly, even though you have video evidence, you have Toyota trying to, you know, bypass their responsibility. And this is a company, a manufacturer that has been known for being great when it comes to warranty work. And I guess it is easy to be great when it comes to warranty work when you don't have to spend much money on it because you've engineered the product correctly from the beginning. And I'm still thinking more so that the Tundra hybrid engine problem is more of an engineering problem from the beginning than actual random metal shavings that happen to be across 3 different truck plants on 3 different continents. M. Peugeot, I love it that you're dropping information because when it comes to mechanics and the whole engineering aspect of things, you explain things really, really well. And I can't think of a single time you were wrong. You always seem to be right about this stuff. So thank you very much for your assistance. Now, Toyota has also recalled certain 2022 and 2023 Corolla Cross models. So here's another issue going down, and this is for non-compliance recall involving certain 22 and 23 Corollas, and it's approximately 96,000 vehicles that are involved. So this is with the front passenger airbag, and it says that there's an increased risk of injury in a crash. And their suggestion in the meantime, because they don't have airbags, they don't have a fix that's quick and fast for all 96,000 people, owners. So they're saying that until the vehicle is inspected and the remedy is performed, Toyota recommends that no one sit in the front passenger seat of one of the involved vehicles, you know, one of the 96,000 Toyota Crosses. That is pretty bad, Toyota. This, I'm excited for the new Toyota MR2, but I don't think I'll be getting one if this type of stuff continues. So here we go. We're gonna switch over now to apparently someone else's commercial here. Sorry about that. So no, we're gonna switch to the final Toyota story before we get into some good Ford Maverick news. And the good news is that it's not too late to switch your order. Lots of orders have been put in, but it's not too late to order one, and it's not too late to switch your order. So we'll make sure no one misses the mark. And I think the Maverick right now is one of the best options on the market for a purchase. So let's check out the Corolla here. We've got the Corolla GR. Let's first understand what this is. It's an incredible machine. 300 horsepower, 295 pound-feet of torque out of a 1.6 liter inline 3-cylinder engine. So all 3 cylinders are in line, they're flat. It's all-wheel drive, it's a 6-speed manual. It's the type of hot hatch that would, you know, create hot dreams over the any young person's, but they're expensive. So I don't know how many young people can actually afford these, but young people definitely like these, and I think they actually make practical family vehicles. It's a good-looking vehicle. Mechanically, it's extremely impressive with the stats there. But what do we have here? We've got 2 incidences of the vehicle catching fire. Let's get a little visual on that. So not very pretty, not good at all. One instance where the vehicle is completely engulfed in flames. It's completely ruined, totaled. There's nothing to do with it. And another one where it's the engine bay. So you've got two instances of these GR Corollas catching fire. And I've said it before, when we had the Bronco engines, somewhere between 56 to maybe max 120 2.7 liter EcoBoost engines, and maybe it's more, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I still believe that the numbers were somewhere around there. You had some 2.7 liter engines go bad because of some valves that I guess weren't coated properly. They weren't taking the heat and cool down all that well. So some valves broke, blew some engines. But Ford was very quick to be like, whoa, you're getting a new engine. This is on us. So sorry. But this story, while it's only two, is horrific because it's the worst possible thing that a manufacturer can do to the buyer, the consumer, the owner. So you can check out the story, the written story at motor1.com, as I have. But let's dive into kind of how you could say silly the process on Toyota's end is. I'm not impressed at all. So you've got, in one instance, at 23,413 miles, you've got the vehicle catching fire. So there's a Carfax report on February 12th, 2024. Accident damage was reported to the front, the left front, and the right front, and the rear front. So you're thinking maybe it wasn't repaired properly and the fire comes from there. But hold on. Proper investigation doesn't just look for one thing and say, hey, that could be used. You should actually look if it makes sense, Toyota. So at the time of the inspection, the vehicle had fire damage to the front and the engine compartment. The inboard side of the engine block had a small hole on the upper side from internal engine damage. Oil residue was found at the turbocharger, the bottom of the engine, the undercarriage, and exhaust pipes. So it's not being covered. The owner's manual warns not to drive, apparently, in excess of the speed limit. That's once in the book. And even if the legal speed limit permits going over 85 miles per hour, some parts of the interstate in the States, it's 75 miles per hour. You have to easily do 85 to keep up with traffic. But it's saying don't go over 85 miles per hour because, the tires aren't made for it. Well, tires and motor are unrelated. An engine fire, I can understand if it was a tire blowout and Toyota's like, no, we're not covering your crash because of a tire blowout because you went too fast. It's 136.7 kilometers per hour. So it's 100, let's say 137 kilometers per hour. But yeah, Toyota's response to this, and this is a vehicle, this is a vehicle that had been in, or one of the two vehicles had actually been in with an owner complaint about, something seems funny coming from the engine. It feels like it's only running on 2 cylinders, and it was inspected by the dealership, and the dealership said, hey, you're good. We've checked it. Everything's great. Go on. And then the engine blew, and then Toyota's like, nope, not covering. So let's finish covering this in full. The accident damage Toyota refers to in the above statement was reportedly superficial. So there was an accident, very superficial. The owner alleges that the paint work was damaged due to debris that came from a dump truck, and that this Mr. Banks, the owner, supplied this to Toyota with documents proving this, and called the company to find out why the claim was rejected. The automaker reportedly skirted around the issue and claimed the car was abused. So this is from CarBuzz. So catch the written article. I'm quoting CarBuzz directly. So please give them some credit here as I give them credit. Check out the article. It's a 6-minute read. It's by Jared Neves. Very good write-up. The second owner, same thing, was denied, and very oddly, it seems like they both had the same individual reviewing the claim. They both had their letters sent out at the same time, even though there was about a month's difference between the fires of both vehicles. So one of the owners definitely waited quite some time. And in one of the cases, like I said, this is wild. The owner is very responsible. He went to the dealer, said, look, the engine feels like it's running only on 2 cylinders. What's going on? Check it out. The dealer said, everything's fine. You're good to go. Get back on the road. Engine catches fire and Toyota says, no, you drove over 85 miles per hour. This is mind-boggling. The Corolla GR, you pay a premium price to have this incredible 300 horsepower, 295 pound-feet of torque, manual 6-speed hot hatch. And Toyota even pays for you to have one race day with your vehicle. How does it make any sense that their answer is user error? You went over, your vehicle spied on you. We've now used the computer from the vehicle to know you went over 85 miles per hour. And that's breaking the rules. Your little vehicle that spied on you is now making it so you're going to be out tens and tens of thousands of dollars. One case, the whole vehicle. And in one case, the person was in between insurance. So he's completely out. He's continuing to make payments and, could think any of us could be ruined by the fact if we have to make car payments to a vehicle that's Toyota pays to take you on a race day, to take it out on a race day, and you don't get anything, but you have to continue making payments on a vehicle you don't have because you went over 85 miles per hour and now you still have to get to work, right? So you have to buy another vehicle if your credit will allow it. You have to have second payments on another vehicle or, somehow find the cash to buy something that'll take you to work. This is ridiculous. In one instance, Toyota says the car had gone 114 miles per hour, and that's abuse of the vehicle. But yeah, it comes with a track day. How do you not go 114 miles per hour on a track day? And one of the GR Corollas had around 500 miles on it. So this thing was brand new. Brand new. These aren't people putting nitrous in the vehicles. 500 miles. Thing was brand new, basically coming back from the dealership. So in one of the instances, you can see it in the article here, the car was taken to Toyota for an inspection and oil change, and the dealer found nothing wrong. The dealer claimed the issue could stem from too much octane in the fuel, but Banks, the owner, Mr. Banks, says he only uses premium pump gas. So it sounds like he did everything right on his end, and Toyota is doing everything wrong, in my opinion. Don't sue me, bro. But in my opinion, that's not how you're going to make happy customers. And it's sad. I feel like every person shopping a Toyota should know this story. But almost everyone shopping a Toyota is still going to have that, incredible reliability, that long, incredible manufacturer when it comes to warranty work, incredible reliability. But like I said earlier, easy to be really great when it comes to warranty claims when you have next to none. It's sort of like how to judge an individual isn't when they're in their best, safest, happiest environment. You can see the true character of someone when you kind of throw them into the mud and you see what type of person they're like when, crap has hit the fan. So hopefully Pat wasn't when the crap hit the fan for Pat from Outsider Reviews and I while we're off-roading and the Raptor was stuck in the mud. Hopefully he saw me in the pressure cooker and still liked what he saw. But I think so because he approached me in regards to doing a live here that he'd come down next to Sherbrooke and do a live. We've still got an empty seat right here. So it looks like sometime, hopefully soon, we'll be able to organize for Pat from Outsider Reviews to be here. So yeah, I think Marie is all on board for that. Douglas Blair, share this with the world. Yeah, people when they go to shop a Toyota should know about this story, that Toyota wants your money up front, but are they going to be responsible and do the right thing on their end, on the backside, once you're an owner? And it took a long time. And this, the stories I've picked kind of fit together because it took a long time for Toyota to recall the engine on the Tundra. The Tacoma, so far, looks like they're blaming people. They're telling Truck King, well, no, you went from 5th to 1st, despite it being on video and clearly from the sounds in the video, there wasn't a money shift from 5th into 1st. So this is really rough. I'm going to look at some of the comments here. You got Peugeot saying, "Yep, buy another Toyota because they treated you so well." Yeah, people looking to shop back on a Toyota need to think of this. Douglas Blair, share this with the world. They want your money, but not to fix defective cars. Douglas Blair, that is the perfect quote. You got it out much better than I did. So thank you. Great point there. Outsider Reviews, I've learned a lot from him. He's got incredible equipment, even though he doesn't have his 1,000 subscribers. So right now he spent a ton of money to create incredibly good professional videos, but he's not getting any money. It blows me away because I've been doing this for a number of years, and I finally, spent on this. My initial spending on this cell phone that I bought, I just kept figuring, it's got to be the room. It's got to be something. My phone is so good; it must make great sound. But no, you still need a microphone, no matter how much you pay for the cell phone. It would look like. So yeah, Peugeot. Yeah, I know some people that have really mistreated Miatas and even added turbos to them, and still they're more reliable than this. So with a homemade tune to the computer after the turbo got installed. This is pretty disappointing. Toyota, I gotta tell you, I've had Toyota MR2s most of my life. The fact that the new Toyota MR2 is coming out, myself and a bunch of my high school friends are like, hey, we'd like to get a Toyota MR2. But this is seriously putting a damper on the story. It used to be that the only real major negative thing I could think about when it came to Toyota were a few Corolla transmissions that were bad, and one of the earlier generation Tundras, I believe if I recall, was in the 2000s, around 2007, 2008. The frame was pretty darn weak. But other than that, this is just 1 year, and this isn't all the stories I could be sharing with you. I've shared 2 or 3 other stories already this year, and I'm not going to dive into them. But this is a hot mess. This is a fire at the corporation. Will the building or buildings, will the corporation burn down, or will they call in the fire people, the firemen, firewomen, whatever? Are they going to put the fire out? Get the water hose out, get the foam, spray the foam on the vehicle if it's a battery fire, because water will only make the fire worse. Hard to put out electric vehicle fires, cannot use water. But this is sad. This is coming from, Toyota had been boring for almost 2 decades, and they came back out with the Toyota Supra. Well, they came out with the GR86, and I was like, wow, this is great. I went to buy one, then drove one, and I was like, wow, that's horrible. 200 horsepower is not enough, and I'm not buying it just for incredible handling because I don't live on a racetrack. And then the Supra came out, and I almost pulled the trigger on the new Toyota Supra, and I was like, wow, this is fantastic. And what held me back is I said, well, I'm going to wait a little bit because it's a BMW engine. I want to see if all the electronics and sensors are good and don't lead to this. On this one, it's my opinion, but I'm siding with the owners, and we got to get this story out, folks. Got to get it out. It's not right, and we got to stick up for when things aren't right. And we, as a car community, we have to work together, protect one another. And I want to bring up this story a few more times as it develops. So don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll be here, continuing to be here. But folks, that ends episode 1 of this live. Now let's get into episode 2. We're going to be talking about how the powertrain works over on the nice looking Maverick. And actually, you know what? Episode 2, let's quickly talk about the Stellantis story, because I want to sort of keep this in theme. Everyone else, then Ford at the end. So we've got the Stellantis story here, and it is troublesome. So from Road and Track, great news production team over there, and we'll just have that. I like their images and I like their titles, so you can catch their article here. We're starting episode 2 at the 39-minute mark. So episode 2. We've got some big problems over at Stellantis, and it is going to affect Dodge, and it's going to affect Jeep I predicted it would affect Jeep, and I'm still thinking it's going to affect Jeep. I'm worried about Jeep Wagoneer and Grand Wagoneer production, especially Grand Wagoneer production. And well, Ram is having to cut the classic, the 1500 Classic out of the lineup. It's been around for 15 years, since I believe 08, and it's been a great affordable option. At Ram, there's no mid-sized truck to compete with the Tacoma, with the Ranger, kind of with the Honda Ridgeline, and for some people, Ford Maverick, Hyundai, Santa Cruz. But they didn't have a mid-sized truck or a small truck for the North American market. What they did have is a classic truck. So old styling, old engine, lower price. You spend more when it comes to fuel, but you had a good old V8 5.7 liter with, unfortunately, a transmission differential and drive shaft that hadn't been changed all those years, and not the most robust transmission. But you get what you paid for, and what you paid for was a low price. So you can't expect perfection, but they're cutting it out. And this comes on a story that I came out with in the live, I guess 2-3 weeks ago, talking about Stellantis CEO, talking about how he was going to be cutting brands. And I said, okay, cutting brands, yes, maybe Maserati, Fiat, but probably when it comes to the North American market, not cutting brands, cutting models. And this is the first model to get cut. It's the 1500. This thing has had pretty good sales, a great entry price, great for companies, great for people coming into the truck market for the first time who need that lower price to get into the truck market, and it's gone. It's gone, and the sad part about that is it's going to affect up to about almost 2,500 employees, up to maybe 2,450 employees. And that's what all the news articles are saying. But guess what else is built at that plant in the States, in Michigan? Wagoneer and Grand Wagoneer. And the Grand Wagoneer is not selling like hotcakes. Dealerships are having to really, really bring down the price on it. And I'd be worried that the Grand Wagoneer is going to get cut. And if they're going to cut the Grand Wagoneer, will they continue making the Wagoneer there? I hope that Ram or Jeep starts producing something else that's high volume at this plant in the end, so these jobs don't get lost. But I'd say there's almost more chance, looking at how things are going from a profit perspective at Stellantis, and based on what the CEO at Stellantis has currently said, that there's almost more chance that the factory completely shuts down than it getting a high volume model like the classic 1500 and not losing a single job. So maybe it gets closed down, maybe 2,450 jobs get lost, or maybe something in between. But I did mention when the UAW was, working a contract for Dodge, I said, I worry with this being owned by Stellantis. I worry that if they have an excuse, that they'll bring more production to Mexico and even China. So that's unfortunate, and I'm bringing unfortunate news. I like the fact that the Ram 1500 had a nice little starting MSRP of $40,700, and now it's getting replaced by the Tradesman. And the Tradesman, however, the Tradesman is not going to have that old 5.7 liter V8 Hemi. It's just not the same. So stay tuned for more information on this story as it unfolds. But if you want a classic Ram at a really low truck entry price, and you don't want to get a Ford Maverick, there's an option right there while there's still some on lots. And inventory of Ram trucks is actually very high, so you probably will find one. It's not going to be the most difficult find out there, but they're finally going to stop rolling off the line in September. And I think that's sad. I was hoping that with the classic 1500 being cut, that maybe the current model would kind of become the new classic and that they just introduce a new styling. So it'd be like, hey, here's your new styling. Pay more if you want the new styling, but we still have a classic truck, the classic truck that was the classic truck is gone, but now we've got a new old classic truck. And I was hoping that, you know, they would work on the transmission, the differential, the drive shaft, those components, beef up the transmission, beef up the drive shaft. But instead, it's going the way of the dodo, and it's gone. So it's too bad. It's too bad. To the live chat community, I love the fact that there's a lot of chat going on. Just want to keep in mind that we're all one big happy community here. It's great to discuss. It's great to chat, but always discuss the argument. Never attack the person. So I'm happy to see that there's no attacking of the person in the comments. So, you know, anyways, it's a logical fallacy to attack the person. You know, discuss the topic so that both parties can learn from one another, and maybe both parties end up with a modified opinion, because different data sets, different information, different viewpoints and perspectives get shared and help create new perspectives. And we all learn and grow together. And it's important, especially these days, as the major media companies try to crack down on that. They don't want us discussing. My YouTube channel got threatened to have all 1,050 videos deleted if I talked about the war. So I'm not going to talk about the war, and I'm not going to talk about anything that relates to do with health. And, you know, I won't ever say things like, you know, should you, of course, everything the government tells us is 100% right 100% of the time. And of course, they do everything for our personal benefit, the citizens. So no questioning of government policies here, that's for sure. Now, moving on to the next episode, before I say something I really shouldn't say, as a nice little commercial break, folks, at Johnny, eat the bugs. Yes, that is the slogan. That is perfect, M. Peugeot. Yes, eat the bugs really represents how our governments are always there for what's best for us. Ridgeview says, what? No rant. Maybe it'll kind of be like a silent rant as I check in, but no one said I can't talk about the environment yet, so I haven't gotten that warning on the channel. So let's, while we're in intermission, so folks, thank you for staying tuned with us. We're now to that portion where I'm about to get all the slides and the programs ready to discuss Ford Maverick. Let's just have a quick little intermission. Quick little intermission. I do want to mention that if you catch All Terrain, Dave over at All Terrain Nation covered this story really, really well. You've got the aftermarket Ford Bronco hardtop. They're calling it drama. I call it a catastrophe, because you had two companies working together to come out with a nice, beautiful slanted roof. If we go all the way back, you can look over at Ford Authority, Brett Foote article, but you go all the way back to 2021, 2022, we just couldn't get hardtops. So two companies worked to get us those hardtops. One was the company selling and sending money to another company to develop it. And it would look like the second company went behind. I believe, if I recall correctly, it's APV. Those of you that have the story off the top of their head, you can cover this, fill it in. But it looks like APV patented the top, so that the company that everyone paid, you know, up to maybe $7,000, as Dave and Kelly did from All Terrain Nation, catch their full detailed story on this. But they got refunded, by the way, because it was earlier on. But now so far, it looks like there's nothing that can be done. And people are going to be out thousands of dollars. And that's pretty awful, because the first company that took people's money, well, they'd like to build the tops themselves in-house, but they're being blocked by the patent. Now, of course, if you're in China, they look at copyright laws very differently. They think, you know, it's healthy to copy people. Products get better. Society moves forward more quickly. People get a huge advantage, but companies get a huge disadvantage because they lose out. It also makes it makes our corporations, it makes it very difficult for them to compete with Chinese products that can just copy, save a ton of money in research and development, and come out with a copied product really quickly for a better price. Ford Bronco top So let's see if we can just quickly pull the story here, cover the company's names. So here we go. But All Terrain Nation is the place to catch the full quality story on this. But we've got Brett Foote writing on this topic over at Ford Authority. So the fiberglass Ford Bronco top compared to OEM in-depth video. So I've got the wrong video, but anyways, advanced fiberglass, APV. Here we go. And it was looking pretty sharp. Both companies are still selling fenders, by the way. But as Dave and Kelly said, not sure if they would do business with either company. But yes, what happened? Let's just cover first what it looks like. This is what people were expecting to get. So solid looking roof. And it makes me wonder, now that Ford can make these hard tops, does that have to do with any of this? Is that the reason why, what happened? I don't know. But one company definitely not pleased with the other. They're going to be suing them. So you've got ADV announced that its fiberglass Ford Bronco hardtop had entered the final assembly stage. And, well, and ADV was saying that it was superior to the molded in color top from Ford. And let's see what happened here. ADV Fiberglass has come to realize that their business was targeted and has fallen victim to a business manufacturing and production operation carried out by Automotive Performance Group, APG. That's where I was getting confused. ADV versus APG. People gave their money to ADV Fiberglass. ADV Fiberglass paid and co-created the top, the design, and the whole making of the top with APG. APG was going to be building them, but now ADV is saying that APG engaged in deceptive, illegal, unethical business practices, saying that effectively feeding us inaccurate timelines, breaking promises, continuously requesting more money, and even going as far as filing a patent for the product that they built together. So now ADV can't just build the top in-house because there's a patent that was filed by APG, and it doesn't look like APG is going to be, collecting names and saying, hey, look, we know you gave money to ADV, but we're going to be doing the top. Your money is still, going towards your top, and we're going to get you your top. That would be the right thing to do. One corporation potentially stealing from another corporation is one thing. But if APG doesn't want to completely ruin its reputation, and Lightbright actually has some fenders from APG, and they look amazing. But if APG wants to keep its reputation, and I would think hopefully people, will keep it in mind before buying from APG. But APG, hopefully, we have so much we can vote through our dollars. It's one of the rare places we still have an effect. If people stopped, instantly buying worldwide anything from, whether it's Pepsi, Coca-Cola, McDonald's, but let's say you don't like a business practice going down at one of these major corporations. If everyone in the world stopped buying from them, they would correct how they do business very quickly or go out of business. It's wild. So hopefully the community will pressure APG and just completely, don't buy from them until they get from APV the client list of people who gave thousands of dollars for this top, and then make a public statement. Say all the people who paid APV money for a top, that APG, no longer is doing business with APV, but APG will get you your top that you paid for through APV. So that's confusing. I'm sorry for all that back and forth with names. I'm going to get the micro here. I'm going to put it up on the desk. So I'm sorry for all the back and forth with the names. Not the easiest when you have two companies doing business together that have almost the same name. But what's kind of scary is both companies are pretty big companies. APG is, to me, seems big enough. They've got light bright, running their driving through the desert, looking great with those fenders. So it's wild. Remember, we can vote with our dollars, folks. As a car community, you just don't buy from APG until they do the right thing and get people their tops that through AP, let's get this right again, through ADV, that then people, buyers, sent money to ADV, and then ADV sent that money to APG. Well, APG's got to take care of those buyers who put thousands of dollars down. And until that day comes, I'm going to say, I'm not buying anything from them. And I'm not buying anything from Toyota either until they get their Corolla buyers their engines. And I'm going to have a negative viewpoint of Toyota until they do that. Now, I'm very impressed with Toyota and the Tundra and how they're going to recall the engines. That's going to cost, $20,000, $25,000 per engine and labor. Extremely impressed. But this is just 2 Toyota Corolla GRs. Change the motors. Unless you find out that they drove, let's say someone has a red check engine light come on, and then they drive for a few miles more with the red check engine light on. Well, that comes down to user error. That's user abuse. And any owner of a vehicle, when the red check engine light comes on, you should know, pull over immediately, call the tow truck, send it to the dealer, because red check engine generally means something is going to blow. I even know an instance of a BMW, an Audi check engine came on and it was red. And the owner didn't see it until the noise came on. And he's like, okay, I'm pulling off the highway right away, but he was looking for a safe space to pull off. And in that time, the engine blew, and Audi actually changed the motor and didn't charge the customer. They said, look, we understand you didn't drive that much further between when the engine light, because yes, the Audi stooled on the owner, collects all our data, knows what we're doing. But Audi was able to see, oh, okay, you're saying that the check engine came on here and you ended up there. Well, they kind of did the math and they're like, yeah, that makes sense. It wasn't safe to stop where you were. It did make sense to say, oh, I'm just going to go up the hill. So, I'm going to get in a situation where I'm not, at the when you go over a hill, you don't want to be pulled over right away because someone going over the hill won't see you and hit you. They understood, okay, you just wanted to go a little bit further to be in a safe spot. So Toyota, do what's right. APG, do what's right. This is ridiculous. With the internet these days, you wouldn't think anyone would try this type of nonsense, but unfortunately they do. And fortunately, we can vote with our dollars and hopefully help change this corporate attitude, I guess, if we want to call it. So that's our episode 3. We're now actually going to go into the commercial break. So episode 4, we're getting into the Maverick talk. I guess it's great. It's not great when the automotive news ends up being my rant. I don't want to be ranting about any of this. I want to be talking about positive automobile news. I want to be able to look through things like this and say, hey, the wild track tops have gotten a lot better, and I expect the 2025 tops to be even better because we got the refreshed model. I like being able to talk about the soft top, how my current wild track soft top is better than my original 2021 Badlands soft top. It's a little quieter, it's heavier, it's a little thicker. Marie washing the vehicle. That wasn't a great news story for us, but we do have a video on washing your vehicle properly, trying to do a no contact wash. Also, do-it-yourself ceramic in 30 minutes or less. My Bronco still looks great from the ceramic I put on now over a year ago, about 13 months ago. So well worth it. And on my rant of the night, question everything, folks. It's wild where you can have, Greta Thunberg, a 19-year-old who's not a scientist, who reads from a script, who gets 24/7 media coverage, gets to go to, the big world summits, the world leadership summits where they talk about where they want to take the world, gets listened to like she knows what she's talking about. But then you've got here Dr. Judith Curry, a climatologist who's published over 140 scientific books, says the whole carbon climate change is a hoax and gets no media coverage. Well, Dr. Judith Curry, there's your media coverage. That's the face, not this face, but that's the face that should be talking at, to the globalist elites about what direction to take. But some people want to hear what they want to hear. So 140 scientific books on climate change. An actual climatologist says it's all a hoax. So media, you suck. Now, that's my rant for the night. Getting back on topic. Sorry, my other rant for the night. It's wild. 90% of what's in the grocery store is gonna slowly destroy you from the inside out. All sorts of health problems, diabetes, overweight, obesity, dementia, Alzheimer's, and that's the 90% that they're not talking about, for, the sake of the climate, let's get rid of all the junk food we don't need. Let's get rid of industrial vegetable oil. Let's get rid of preservatives because they're horrible for human health. And why make something that's horrible and isn't actual food? Because calling 90% of what's in the grocery store food makes as much sense as calling me a woman. It's just not. Get back to some of the good old ways of actual food. And what's wild is the 10% of the food that's left in the grocery store is being attacked as being unhealthy, like red meat. It's so unhealthy. Back in the 70s and 80s, they're trying to push sugar as something that's just great for your kids, just like they pushed cigarettes being, fine for you if it had, a filter in the 70s or in the 50s, like the idea that, a cigarette or two a day is just great for you. This cigarette brand is good according to so-and-so doctor. That was all just media manipulation. A lot of those cigarette companies bought the junk food companies, by the way. But it's mind-blowing that what's actually healthy for you, the other 10% in the grocery store, is what's actually being, they're trying to take it away from us. They want to make it very difficult to get your steak. So save the steak, folks. There's my rant. Spend time with your family. Have a family, because nothing is better. This Shelby GT350 doesn't compare to the happiness that this little tyke puts, little Princess Peach here, puts on my face. There's no greater joy than that right there, folks. And the media isn't going to tell you that having a family is great. They'll say, shame on you if you have a family. It's bad for the environment, creating carbon. Just like how cows, bad because they create carbon and carbon monoxide and all this nonsense. No, a cow in a natural field is just a perfect circle of life. But no, have a family. It's the best thing you'll ever do. If you're one of the younger people watching this show, so I went to university and I was brainwashed into being one of these, extremely, go with the globalist elite agenda. We actually had the full agenda. It was shown to me. I was like, hey, this is where the university needs to go. Okay, we need to get rid of the asphalt on the campus. So it's a walking only campus. We need to do this and that. But then when it came to spending just a tiny bit of money to having utensils that would biodegrade, oh, no, we're not going to spend extra money on that. We're going to spend money on reducing cars on campus. Like not allowing cars to park on campus and drive on campus is going to change much of anything. People are still going to own cars and carbon anyways. Canada, here I'm in Canada, and we have about a good 10 times more trees that can absorb the carbon that we create. So we're well below net zero. We're like 10 times below 10, we have about 10 times more trees than we need to have to absorb the carbon that we create. So if we were to get to net zero, we'd have to pollute 10 times. Well, carbon's not necessarily pollution, but we'd have to produce 10 times more carbon. And still, they're talking about, getting rid of the cows, getting rid of the cars, just so that we can have, less carbon. So a little wild. Let's not talk about world population as some sort of, it's called trees. Toyota MR2 is off, and well, the engine's blown. Check engine on this bad boy, and I was on holidays this week and spent almost 20 hours with I've got a fantastic neighbor who's a Porsche enthusiast, had a beautiful 944, had a 914 Porsche that was ultra clean, and we were working on a few things on the Porsche 911, the black one in the garage, and the main thing wrong with that one is the top, and those annoying German engineers. But yeah, we had a great time up in North Conway. So if you're in the area later this year when it's nice out and we don't have all sorts of rain or clouds, we do want to go up the White Mountains with the community. And I do appreciate how the community has stayed here in the show, because now commercial break's over. Let's talk about the Ford Maverick. Yes, it's Ford Maverick time, folks. I think most of you are probably here for that. So I'm sorry I got a little off track, a little excited, talking about, well, some of the stuff that's even more important than cars. Politics. Politics controls where we go, what we eat, what we drink, what most of us think, because it depends on what gets presented to us in the media. So the Ford Maverick here, we've got the build and price pretty much up and ready to go. And I'm also going to be talking about, first for episode 4, let's talk about what the powertrain of the hybrid is. Because let's face it, most of the people buying a Maverick hybrid want it for its powertrain. So getting to that, let's talk about that powertrain, how it works for 2025. It's back to being standard. You're not having to spend milk. Ford's not going to milk out that extra, $1,500 or $2,000 to have the hybrid. Most companies, 2025 Ford Maverick hybrid is expected to, be very popular with that hybrid powertrain. It's going to be all-wheel drive, and the base model, the XL here, starting at $26,295, standard 2.5 liter hybrid engine. How does that hybrid engine work? What is it? Well, let's first start with the basic stuff. Let's do a 101 and get into the nitty-gritty. So it's a 191 horsepower engine, 155 pound-feet of torque, and even on Ford's website, in too many places, they call it CVT. Folks, it's not a CVT, it's an CVT. It's a planetary gear set. A CVT is belt driven and by most considered not that reliable and kind of weird to drive. You go up hills, high RPM, there's only one speed, and many CVTs don't deal with the RPMs versus your speed all that well. And notoriously and historically, they have not been great for reliability. Now, this is an eCVT. Ford and Toyota worked on this back in the 2000s. It's very similar to what's in a Toyota Prius. And it's proven. It's a very good transmission. It's been proven in the Ford Escape for a number of years now. eCVT is excellent, not having issues with it over the years when it comes to reliability. So it's a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder engine combined with an electric motor. The setup produces a combined 191 horsepower, 155 pound-feet of torque. That's what the two working together will allow you to use. The drivetrain, well, the standard is front-wheel drive, but for 2025, you can have it as an all-wheel drive. It's very fuel efficient, 40 miles per gallon and 42 miles per gallon. So only 2 miles per gallon more if you get it as an all-wheel drive. Now, when it comes to the battery, we will talk about what to do on how to use it in just a moment, but let's just talk about the battery. The battery is a 1.1 kilowatt unit. That's not that big of a battery. It's not that heavy. It's not that big. It doesn't create a ton of pollution to make this battery Because it's not huge. And the lithium ion technology from Ford, the batteries have been very reliable, and they are warranted for 8 years or 160,000 kilometers or 100,000 miles. Good, solid system. And this is a system, many all-wheel drive systems that have an electric motor end up having what people call 2 motors, but technically 4 motors. You have 1 motor unit in the front and 1 motor unit in the back. That's not the case with the Ford Maverick. You have the 1 unit in the front and a drive shaft to send power to the back wheels. And the front unit for this hybrid, the motors, because it's 2 motors actually, it's 1 bigger motor, the larger motor, that's for propelling the vehicle forward. And then the other smaller motor is essentially a generator motor. So that's all about the regenerative braking. And that's where we talk about how this system works. So your regenerative braking motor, the smaller one, also controls the 12-volt battery to actually start the vehicle, because there's still a 12-volt battery to start the vehicle. It's not the electric engine and the 1.1 kilowatt lithium ion battery that starts the vehicle. It is the 12-volt battery, and that gets charged up by the generating motor, the smaller motor. Now, the smaller motor works to capture energy. So when you let off the accelerator, it's going to start, and many places say, regenerative braking, and they make the mistake of saying you have to brake for it to regenerate. No, as soon as you let go of the accelerator, there's going to be light regeneration. If you press the L button and you're under 70 kilometers an hour, or roughly under 55 miles per hour, roughly, with the L button on, you're going to get into a more aggressive regenerative braking, and it's going to create energy for that battery. The system does not have any complicated plug-in, not just necessity. You can't plug it in, so you don't have to worry. There's nothing that you have to add to your home. If you live in an apartment building, or if you're out in the woods and you don't have electricity at the cottage or at your main home, that's okay. You're not going to charge this vehicle with electricity. The vehicle charges itself. It recharges that 1.1 kilowatt lithium ion battery when you let go of the accelerator, and at a more aggressive pace when you hit the L button. Now, we've got a lot of people who are very qualified in this. We only owned our Maverick Hybrid for a few months. So Maverick Hybrid owners in the chat, please add in information, little tidbits of knowledge that you have. Please go ahead and share that throughout the next episode where we do the build and price. So very, very fuel efficient. A lot of people are going to be coming to Ford for the first time, and actually the hybrid model in the Maverick, a little over 60% of the buyers of the Maverick are new to Ford. Their previous vehicle, their trade-in vehicle, was not a Ford. So many people are going to be coming to Ford for the first time, and many people are going to be coming to a hybrid for the first time. And that's why I want to cover a general how to use it. So the big takeaway, you're not plugging this in. So no added equipment on the vehicle at home. Drive this like a regular vehicle. Just let go of the accelerator earlier to charge that battery more, and use the motors up front in between the CVT transmission and the gasoline engine. You've got one on each side. You've got the gasoline engine, the CVT transmission, and you've got the electric engine on the other side, both feeding into the eCVT transmission. The unit, it's 2 motors, big motor for propelling, smaller motor for the regenerative braking and giving power to the 12-volt battery to help, recharge it, so the 12-volt battery can help start the vehicle via a traditional starter. Most of this vehicle is just like any gas vehicle you've ever had. It's going to drive just like any gas vehicle you've ever had, and you don't have to plug it in. It's low stress, low worries. Just get in one and drive it. And if your dealership doesn't have a Maverick, go drive an Escape hybrid, because it's, pretty much identical. A little difference when it comes to the suspension. Now let's get into building this Ford Maverick. So episode 5 here, we'll be breaking these into little episodes when we can, when we when we find the time to do so. So we've got the Ford Maverick build and price. So let's start with price, because I think that's one of the main attractive features of the Maverick. And yes, a lot of people have talked about how price has gone up from their 22 model. So a lot of people with 2022 Ford Mavericks or 2023 Ford Mavericks might not be as eager to switch because the price has increased a lot. But if you're coming from another brand, this is still an incredibly priced truck based on what you might be cross-shopping on the market. This thing is more fuel efficient than a Honda Civic. In my opinion, looks a lot better and is much more practical than a Honda Civic. So you've got the XL. Let's talk about price. Let's talk about the don't be fooled, and we'll talk about which model I would take. But we've got the XL starting at $26,295. You've got $1,500 of transport and destination. All the auto manufacturers do this. They catch you with this low price and then they add it on at then. You'll see that as we build along. You've got the XLT at $28,795, the Lariat at $36,735, the Tremor at $39,795, and the Lobo at $40,495. Now the Lobo is the completely new model. It's at the high end of the spectrum. It's the most expensive model. Let's start there, and then we'll go back to the least expensive model because you'll see how it can be a little confusing. So you've got the Lobo here at $40,495. It has the 2-liter EcoBoost engine. And I still want to get, a little bit more concrete information because it looks like at least all the other 2-liter turbo EcoBoost models are no longer 250 horsepower. They've lost almost 20 horsepower because of filter for EPA, the environment. So we've lost some power there, but what you're getting on this model is a 7-speed automatic transmission. Other EcoBoost, it's an 8. You've got your Lobo mode, which is a track use only, of course. You've got lowered ride height and tuned suspension, 19-inch black wheels, and a unique front fascia with fog lamps and black roofs. It's the only one that has the grille here. You probably can't see it all that well, but the grille, instead of having horizontal lines, has vertical lines, up and down lines. So it's got a very different grille. You can see from the photo here, it's your lowered suspension model. And you can see it's got a unique interior. If I move let's look at the good looking stuff, get my face out of here. Still, of course, black Activix. There's not a single leather trimmed model when it comes to the Maverick. But it's funny. They're saying tuned springs and shocks, modified steering, improved handling, help give you an exceptional control. So like the Tremor model, this has, the torque vectoring through the rear differential. But they do talk about this being, the performance model. So I want to get more information before I would put an order on this, but it will have paddle shift steering wheel for, as Ford calls it, unmistakable style and unmistakable fun. So this is a neat little model, 19-inch wheels, a few less colors, black, Oxford white, which is kind of like your construction truck color. So anyways, it looks good against all the black decals. The wheels always stay the same. And you've got your blue. I love the Velocity blue here. 2-liter EcoBoost engine. Will model. Now what's neat about Ford's website is you can always hit the little I for more information. And click X to get out, but they're not giving any more information on that. They've got the 7-speed quick shift transmission, and they're not giving more information on that. So Ford, you could definitely do us all a favor and add this in. But here's one of the first don't be fooled. You go to Ford Copilot 360 Assist 2.0 and you think, oh, it's included. Oh, so I need a Lariat or a Lobo to have the Ford Copilot 360. If you want to have, it looks like if you want to have evasive steering assist, if you want to have intelligent adaptive cruise control with stop and go, lane centering, and speed sign recognition, intersection assist, and connection navigation, as well as all the other Copilot stuff that we've, many of us have learned to love, like automatic high beams and low beams, blind spot detection. Well, a lot of people will just think, oh, well, I need the Ford Copilot 360 package. I need a Lariat or a Lobo. But this is the Assist 2.0. This is what it's adding to the Copilot. Because when it comes down to it, the XL has Copilot 360, but the base version of Copilot 360. So I've got the order guide right here. And the order guide right here, right on, what's neat is if you download the order guide from Maverick Truck Club, you can see right in here, you don't have to zoom in, you can Google it and look it up, but I'm going to read it right off for you. Ford Copilot 360 technology that's based and on every single model. Let's put the good looking truck in the back here. Every single model comes with automatic LED high beams. So your high beams and your low beams are automatic. Your daytime lights and your nighttime lights are automatic. Lane keeping aid. So it's not the lane centering like the Lobo here has, but lane keeping means if you start to get out of your lane and the camera can actually detect the lines if they're painted well enough, you're gonna get a little warning. There's like a mild assist. You have pre-collision assist with automatic emergency braking. So I'll brake up to about 38 kilometers an hour or roughly about 25 miles per hour. You have pedestrian detection, forward collision warning, and dynamic brake support, meaning if the vehicle thinks you're going to have an accident, it's going to, kind of like back in the days before ABS brakes and you had to pump the pedal instead of just smashing it down, you had to pump it to brake efficiently. Well, essentially, it's making it so that when you touch the brakes, they're going to be really prepped. They're going to be very sensitive, ready to go. You're going to just barely touch those brakes, and you're going to see it's not your regular brake pedal that you put in a certain amount to get full braking. It's kind of going to be full braking radon. It's going to be a head bopper. And rear view camera, of course. So that's your Copilot 360. That is on all of them. Now, we already mentioned it, but the hybrid engine is standard. There's no base model. You don't have to get an XLT to not have to pay extra for the hybrid engine. It's standard, but without the all-wheel drive. Now, I think the Lobo model looks great. I love that it's lowered, but personally, unless it's got more power, it's not going to be the model for me. So let's go back here and let's look at the Lobo. We've looked at the Lobo. It's done. Let's look at the Tremor. $39,795. Now, Ford's saying you can shake things up with the Maverick Tremor. It's kind of interesting because, yes, it's good at being shaked up. So it's not just for off-road. They talk about the off-road tunes suspension, a lockable rear differential, which allows you also to have torque vectoring on the rear wheels. So really great to get you out of snow and mud. Trail focus tech and daring orange accents. Yes, all true. But I'd like to point out that this isn't just your off-road model. This is your, Detroit roads, Quebec roads. Horrible. If you live in an area with really bad city roads, this could be a fantastic city truck if you live in an area with horrible city roads. Now, because the truck is a little higher, about an inch, and the suspension is made for off-road, it means it's better at absorbing bumps. But it also means that if you live in an area where the roads are perfect and you like to take the bendies, the curves, the corners quickly, it's going to have a little bit more body roll. So keep that in mind. Maybe in that case, you want a Lariat or an XLT or an XL. But this is going to be your best model for eating up those bumps, going over speed bumps, not slowing down too much, and not feeling a whole lot. So you have off-road tuned suspension, Ford trail control, twin clutch, rear drive unit with electronic rear differential locking. So the twin clutch rear drive unit, that's where you're going to get your torque vectoring. It's going to play around with the power that it sends to each wheel, and it's going to help get you out of sticky, I should say not sticky situations, but that is the expression, but slippery situations, or, very snow-covered type of situations where the tread of the wheels get filled up with snow because of the bad conditions. You've got 17-inch all-terrain tires, which are very good. Very nice looking model. My color would be green. I think that looks fantastic. $39,795, but is it actually going to end there? I want green. Good job, Ford. No charge for the eruption green like I have on my Bronco that you've all seen photos probably way too many times. And it's not really much of anything that I have to add here because the Tremor is, for 2025, a beefed up Lariat. So I don't have anything that I have to put in here. It comes with a bed liner that's sprayed in. You can delete it if you pick it, but it comes with the spray in bed liner. Of course, not leather interior, Activix, like all the models. So standard here included, very interesting, dual zone electronic automated temperature control. Floor liners, front and rear. So that's great, mud, snow. Rear under seat pins, heated steering wheel, adaptive cruise control, all standard. Also standard, wireless charging pad. According to consumer surveys, that's #1 tech feature that people want to have. Dual rear USB, so both your kids or adults that won't move out have access to their own USB, so they won't fight. Your two 30-year-olds that haven't moved out of the basement yet won't fight. You've got, and that's not funny because the prices of houses and inflation have caused it that 30, 40-year-olds can still be forced to live with their parents. It's not what it was in the 50s and 60s. The dollar isn't going nearly as far, and since the last 4 years, 80% of all US dollars in circulation, actually not just those in circulation, of all the money that the US has ever printed, 80% of it has been created in the last 4 years, since 2020. So wild, but also wild how well this vehicle comes equipped. But maybe you feel that it's a lot of money. And it is a lot of money, but if you compare it to what's out there, it's not a lot of money. Now, the Tremor you cannot have as a hybrid, so this isn't your model if you're looking for great fuel economy. But if you do almost all your driving on the highway, this is going to be it's going to be excellent on the highway. If you're doing almost only highway driving, the big benefit of getting the hybrid is the incredible fuel economy, either 40 miles per gallon or 42 miles per gallon in the city. So $39,795 with destination charge of $1,595 and an acquisition fee. So all for a total of about $2,200, $2,300. The real actual price is $42,085. But at least what's nice is the Tremor doesn't come in, bone kind of naked, and you have to add and pay for a bit of this and a bit of that. It's not BMW being like, here's a subscription for heated seats, which they got rid of because people voted with their dollars and said, BMW, you are not going to sell me a car. You expect me to pay a monthly fee for heated seats. So if you don't put a down payment of $44,209, let's say you put no down payment, a 4-year lease is going to run you $661 per month. And if you finance it for 5 years, that's a very responsible amount of time, $820 a month. If you finance it on 72 months, which is 6 years, $706 a month. Still, some are going to find that's a huge price to pay. And that's okay, because guess what? Your Lariat costs $3,000 more. So it's not going to be a huge, but you don't have all-wheel drive. But if you don't need all-wheel drive, they're always throwing out this, $505 a month. It's not expensive. Yeah, that's with $3,903. It's like 10% of the vehicle down as cash. Let's do no cash on the lease. $601 for a 48 4-year lease. Now, if you go to finance, $759 with no down payment for 5 years. That's what your dealership should be offering you. And if they're not offering you that, take screenshots of your build and price, or bring your laptop with you and be like, this is the price I want to pay. Otherwise, I'll have to find a solution somewhere else. They should respect that, and they should get you your order in at these prices. Now, $759 per month if you're paying it on 5 years, and on 6 years, 72 months, you're at $654 per month. If that's still too expensive, because the real price of this isn't $36,735 with transport, destination, acquisition fee, it's $38,330. So I understand if that's still too much money, but boy, this thing looks good. You get down to the XLT, 2.5 hybrid engine, 28,795, but I'm up here in the north. I definitely want all-wheel drive. So I'm going to add all-wheel drive because this is actually the model I would get. Marie and I, when we had a hybrid, it was front-wheel drive, and now we can have it all-wheel drive, and that was our only one little hick, our little thing that bugged us with the vehicle. We would definitely throw in all-wheel drive for $2,220. And you got the XLT 301. Is it enough equipment? Well, here, let's check out the 301. The 301 don't have the all-wheel drive. So no, we have to go with the 301 so we can have the all-wheel drive. Would we get a 302? Well, the 302, no, we definitely would not, because that means you're going to an EcoBoost. So the coating on this, the correct coating for an all-wheel drive hybrid is 301. 300 is your front wheel drive. So they each get their own code. I definitely would take then a 301 with XLT luxury package. For $1,890, I find this is a bargain. But do keep in mind, the XLT already is great because it has keyless entry and push button. Keyless entry means the key is in your pocket or in your purse. You get up to the vehicle, it detects that the key is within 2 feet of the vehicle. You put your hand in behind the handle, you pull, and it's unlocked. You're not taking your glove off in the winter. You're not digging around looking for your key. If you're off-roading and you're all full of mud, you're not taking the key out and maybe dropping it into the mud that you're stuck, the swamp that you're stuck in, right? Pat from Outsider Reviews. You've got the 8. So with the XLT luxury package, you now for 2025 get the 8-way power driver and 6-way manual passenger seats. So 8-way is great because 8-way means the seat goes forward, back, up, down. So that's 4. You've got your back, 5 and 6, and it also means it can go on a bit of an angle. So 8-way power driver and then 6-way manual passenger seats. You've got the 400-watt inverter with USB console rear, heated mirror on the outside with painted black skull caps, heated seats. Of course, this is why the XLT luxury package is the package for me. We want those heated seats. We want the heated, hopefully the heated steering wheel, but maybe we've lost that for 2025. That's interesting. So you've got the heated mirror with painted black skull caps, heated seats, soft vinyl wrapped, heated steering wheel. Phew, thankfully it's still there because that's what I loved about the XLT. Feel it's a great bargain because you get heated mirrors, steering wheel, and seat in the $1,890. You get the LED box lighting, not the end of the world for us. Remote start system, not a big deal because no matter what, don't be fooled. The XL can be started remotely for free. There's no charge to the application. You can get Ford Pass application for free forever. You get your Ford Pass hopefully forever, but for now, there's no charge for it, no charge in sight. You get your Ford Pass application and you can now start your Ford Maverick XL from a distance. So I'm going to add this and let's look at what it does to the price. To the price here, you've got, I don't want to give 10% down, even though I should because the interest rate at 7.99 kind of is not that great. So putting cash down is a great idea if you can, but let's say month lease, $537 per month. So that's a 4-year lease. 5-year purchase, $684 per month, and a 72-month purchase, $589. This is really starting to look fantastic. Fantastic. But do we have green on the XLT? I know it's silly that a color could get me to spend more, but Ford didn't try to squeeze every last drop out of the lemon. They're letting us have that green on the XLT. It's not a high expensive trim model only color. So I'm very, very pleased. So what are the colors we have on the XLT? No, it's a fantastic selection. You've got Azure Gray Metallic Tri-Coat for $495. You can get the color on the Lightning, so it's like $800 or $900. Ruby Red Metallic, $390. I think that's well worth the $390. That color is incredible. Hey, Michael, howdy ho. Thank you for shouting out and saying hi. Thank you for joining the chat. You've got Shadow Black. Ford always has black on everything. It always offers pretty much almost at least a white, but there's your company, your construction company, your HVAC company, standard white, all company lettering looks good on white, so that's why they often get it. Carbonized gray metallic, desert sand, you can see all these colors at your Ford store, but desert sand is kind of rare and hard to get your hands on. Velocity blue, love it, no charge. Space white metallic, surprising, no charge. The green, very surprising, no charge, even though that's one of the best colors in the automobile market today. You can even get your top painted black. It's $1,640 for the black appearance package. When you click on something like, why is it so expensive? I thought it was just a black roof. Click on the eye and it'll give you the whole rundown of the list. We can zoom right in and see what the black appearance package offers. 19-inch black aluminum wheel. Talks about the tire size. Black edition hood decal, that's worth about $35. Black edition Ford logo, that's worth about $80 front and back, so $160. Painted roof, okay, painting a roof is pretty expensive. I'm starting to understand the price. The black grille, the painted mirrors, the black seats, the interior accents, it goes all black. And it's not for me. Not for me because I love the interior that now Ford has put to the 2025 Ford Maverick. You got the grille there. Fantastic. Let's see what the grille looks like against red and blue. Red would be a really good toss-up for me. I'd be really pressed to maybe get a red one. I'm on red these days. Red Shelby, red 911. Blue, had an F-150 that color. Absolutely loved it. Really good for not too badly showing, despite being a gorgeous color. Doesn't too badly show the scratches. Green's been pretty good. I haven't scraped it through branches too bad, well, at all really. I was careful when I went off-roading in the woods. Yeah, real toss-up. Even desert sand. Desert sand is more a color I would want on a Tremor, but for an XLT, with the interior color being that it is, red and blue, amazing. Green and blue, amazing. Blue and blue, it's a lot of blue, but I think I could dig it. But fantastic looking truck, and the colors are great. Navy pear, so blue with gray and black accents. No longer are the orange accents there. I love the touchscreen. If you're wondering what this is like and you're like, I can't order a Maverick. I haven't driven one. I haven't seen one. Well, your dealer should let you order it. And if it comes in and you don't like it after test driving it, they should give you back your deposit. But get that in writing. Don't be fooled. Some dealers will try to hold on to your deposit. So get it in writing that the deposit is refundable if you don't like the test drive. And in the meantime, here, I'm going to help you out. Great piece of advice here. In the meantime, please test drive either a 2-liter EcoBoost Escape if you're into the power boost, or a Lincoln Corsair. It's the same engine power-wise, essentially, or an Escape Hybrid. And the Escape Hybrid has been absolutely fantastic. Test drive those vehicles. You'll have a really great idea of what's going on with the Ford Maverick. The interiors are so much better. So you can see, folks, you've got your lithium ion battery right here. It's under the floor, under the seating of the rear passenger seating. So rear, second row, or rear passenger seating underneath. You don't have a little cubby to store things. That side, because that's where the battery, the lithium 1.1 kilowatt lithium ion battery, small battery, but great impact when it comes to fuel economy. Great truck. Very, very impressed. And let's say the prices we talked about, still too much. Hey, that's okay. Appearance package, I like the blue interior, but if you don't like the blue interior, get the black appearance package for $1,695. You can always go with the XL. No extra charge for the hybrid engine. No extra charge for the 2-liter, because everyone's saying the hybrid engine is standard, but technically both engines are standard because there's no extra charge for the 2-liter. Unless you get the 2-liter on the Lobo, which is supposed to be the performance model. So Ford, let me know here. Let me know. Are we going to get more power out of that Lobo? So what do we often companies on their standard model don't really want to sell them and don't offer very many colors. What's great, you have black, white, charcoal gray. Sorry, it's now called carbonized gray metallic. I've been at Ford for a long time. Charcoal used to be a color. You've got your desert sand. You've got your velocity blue, space white. Wow. Even the green at no charge is on the XL. I just need to change those wheels. Some people love Steelies. It's not my cup of tea. And what do you get for an interior? Let's check it out, folks. You definitely get a nice grille. Get the grille to pop a little more if you take white, show it a little bit better on screen versus the green. What do you've got here? You've got a black interior, a mix of black and dark gray. I like the blue interior. I know not everyone's going to agree with me. Let me know in the comments section, which I've got to get the show running on my cell phone here so I can get back to actually seeing the comment section and having them last more than 15 seconds. I'll be honest though, got a little distracted by the comment section earlier. The GT350 has been a fantastic vehicle. Absolutely love it. It sounds great and it is great. It drives great. It handles really surprisingly. It does things in corners that I wouldn't expect a big, kind of somewhat heavy vehicle to do. It's not BMW, new BMW levels of heavy, but it's still heavy. And the sound is great. The acceleration is great, but I've got to hand it to Ford, the 5-liter. Whether you get 2018 plus 5-liter, they sound great. The new 5-liter with active valve and the dual air intake sounds absolutely incredible. But my GT350, I've got one major problem with it. And it's not the Tremec transmission, because that thing is incredible. It really, it feels mechanical and heavy when you switch to gears. It's incredible. But it's so incredible and collectible that I have trouble driving it more than once a week. I put about 50 kilometers per week on that vehicle. And of course it comes with semi-race tires. So I'm pretty nervous taking it out on, I don't take it out on rain days. I'm worried about losing control. I wouldn't worry about taking the Maverick out anywhere, because I think I'd get, if ever I would keep it long enough, I think I could get 300,000 to 400,000 kilometers or over 200,000 miles out of the Ford Maverick. And I really like the price. So Michael, thank you for dropping a lot of comments here. And Michael, like you, I would be all about that all-wheel drive, and the hybrid fuel economy is just too good to pass up. But the real question is, what's the right model for you? Ridgeview, thank you for sharing real world miles per gallon. You're talking about that you've been getting 45 to 50 miles per gallon. And yeah, Ridgeview's got a lot of experience with these machines because both his kids have one, Howdy Aurora, and the family's got 3 Mavericks. So we're lucky, Ridgeview, we're lucky to have you here on the channel, a moderator who adds a lot of great information and knowledge to the chat. Michael, thank you very much. As always, and Peugeot, comical and knowledgeable, and a little spicy at times, but you always play it safely-ish, so no issues there. Douglas Blair, thank you so much for being in the show. Really appreciate it. So 4 high, 4 low, often on the show. Really appreciate it. Anthony Sparacio, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Thank you so much for being a member. Really helping now. And talking about Maine, love Maine. Tucker Carlson did a little Cybertruck review. He's up in Maine, so I recommend everyone watch that. That was the link was given to me by Ridgeview, and I'm like, yeah, Ridgeview sent me a link. I'm going to go click on this. I'm like, oh, it's Tucker Carlson reviewing a Cybertruck. And it was a really good, clear review. Really good, clear review. Deal me in for a 2024. Thank you very much for adding your commentary in regards to pricing. Really fantastic here. And Peugeot often will, has great ideas like, hey, instead of spending a ton of money, for example, on going all out on a Bronco, we'd be like, here's a way to build a Bronco that's going to be super capable at a much lower price. So, and Peugeot probably has some ideas about making his own Lobo version. So, graveyard prospecting. Always giving great information on the channel as well. Often here, outside of review, I just want to finish with Outsider Reviews. Please, folks, head over to Outsider Reviews. Give him some likes. He's missing like 30 likes about to get to 1,000 subscribers. And on YouTube, none of our work gets, rewarded financially if we don't have 1,000 subscribers. So we have to have 1,000 subscribers. It's a criteria, because even if you have a video with 200,000 views already, if you weren't at your 1,000 subscribers, they're not paying you for the advertising. You're not getting anything, zilch, nada. And Outsider Reviews, Pat, he cares about the quality of the work that he puts out, and I can tell he's got a ton of money invested in here. I hope the sound was good, because the microphone was getting all tangled up in the t-shirt. I put it a little further away, but he's got a lot of these. He's got very impressive equipment, all sorts of cameras, all sorts of GoPros. I've learned a thing from him, and I'm surprised that I've learned several things from him. In exchange, I pulled him out of the mud. I pulled the Raptor out of the mud and got him out of the mud. So the Wild Track with the 2.7 liter, folks, is surprising. It got a ton of power. Does it have 3 liter Raptor power? No. The 3 liter Raptor engine blew me away. I was very, very, very surprised. Let's see if I can get anything here now. And no, no. I can get a little rant topic right there, but I won't get into that topic. Leave it up as a background image. But yeah, catch the the Bronco Raptor videos that Outsider Pat has done. Sorry, Outsider Reviews, Pat. He's a vet. He's a good man, good family man, and he's got several Raptor Bronco videos out there. So watch him, give him a subscribe. But I pulled him out of the mud, and the 2.7 liter did a great job pulling him out of the mud. But the 3 liter the Raptor power was instantaneous. It was impressive. It had me saying wow. And the sound was actually really, really great. It's an incredible sounding V6. But the 2.7 liter, if you change the exhaust, can sound really great. It can also sound worse than original. It can sound much worse than stock. So I'm going to be maybe on the hunt to find that perfect Bronco 2.7 liter V6 EcoBoost muffler exhaust, so I can sound more like a Raptor, because, well, the Raptor sounded amazing. It accelerated great. So I'm even thinking, do I tune this and put an air intake in it? And Marie said, are you really going to spend, $700 or more on an air intake? And I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll just put on the K&N, a high flow K&N replacement air filter, because we'll get more air to the engine. And then if we get more air away from the engine via the exhaust, it'll go ahead. But before I do all that, I've got to fix this. So this is part of the bumper. Really interesting. The bumper on the Bronco, not too expensive. The bumper itself is pretty kind of expensive. I'm really happy I don't have one of these bumpers here, because one of these bumpers would have, I'm very convinced, been completely wrecked, and I might have had a bit of damage to maybe I believe it's the intercooler up here and the radiators up here. Well, nothing up top would have been touched, but, well, maybe, because this bumper probably would have crashed right into all that and broken all that. Instead, it was a much nicer, friendlier experience. Okay, so these aren't my live photos from tonight that I prepared, so I'm sorry, a little bit longer. So at first glance, looks really, really simple here, but the bumper actually up here is 2 inches up, 2 inches in, and a good inch and a half up. So this whole thing needs to be pulled down. This little plastic piece, this piece that broke off and what's dangling here, is actually only about 45 Canadian, so not very much money. I thought I had to bash the bash plate back into place, but it's actually this whole corner piece that needs to come back. But this piece here is actually $365 Canadian at my dealer price. So if you have to switch both, that's pretty expensive. And then the actual bumper piece at my dealer price is about 1,300 Canadian. So all in all, an expensive repair if I do all that. So I've got a little product I think I can fill in here, prevent it from rusting. You'll make it go black. And I think I just need to find the best solution to pull this down and out, or down and out. So I was thinking of just attaching it to a tree and putting it in reverse, but of course the steel bumper is really strong. I'm probably going to bottom out my suspension, because the suspension, anyways, I need to probably winch this to a tree and crank it to place. So if anyone lives near Quebec and has a winch on their trucker Bronco, let's meet up. Let's meet up and pull the Bronco back into place. Because some things need to change for the positive, because the news cycle certainly isn't, because they're talking about temperatures going up every year. And it's funny because cities have grown over the years, and where they mark the temperatures are original markers that used to be, just outside the city. And now most of those markers, the cities have grown past. So of course it's going to be hotter, especially when you go from cities that are full 100% asphalt, when they used to have trees and grass everywhere, which more asphalt you have, the more heat you're going to have. The more trees you have, the less heat you're going to have. Walk into a forest and notice it can be, 34 degrees before you walk into the forest. Then walk a little ways in the forest and go, oh, it's cool and enjoyable. That's what trees, the miracle of trees, they make life so much better. And I just want to plug that I possibly have the best wife, or one of them, because I didn't really get in trouble for what I did. So Pat, I know you're worried that I'd get in trouble and we wouldn't be allowed to hang out anymore. But Pat from Outsider Reviews, you don't have to worry. Marie was disappointed in the condition of the Bronco, but not disappointed in me. The 2.7 liter with its 330 horsepower and 415 pound-feet of torque is a blast, absolute blast to drive. But I didn't think it could be better other than with a 5 liter. But Ford's 3 liter V6, even though it's 0.3 liters more, it was considerably more fun to step on the pedal, hear all sorts of engine come out, from back exhaust. Not much difference in engine sound really, but back exhaust, wonderful sound. If I get another Bronco, I don't know if I'm ready to go plug in if it comes out for 2025, because I really like that 2.7. So folks, thank you so much for making it to the show tonight. I already thanked everyone. Oh, but we've got, M. Peugeot, great question. So let's see what M. Peugeot's question was. If it's made by Toyota, it must be quality. Can you go over 85 and keep the warranty? So M. Peugeot, great question for earlier in the show. I'm sorry I'd missed that. That is a great question. So far, it looks like if you have a Toyota Corolla GR, no, you can't go over 85. Because if you do, it's like pretty much all manufacturers, if you reprogram the computer to have like a tune, a programmed tune to have more power, well, if something goes wrong with the engine, they're probably going to use that as their excuse to not pay out. And that's, in my opinion, kind of understandable. Why I would only get a Ford Performance tune, because then yes, your warranty for the engine's out with Ford, but then Ford Performance is supposed to uphold their own warranty. Then you got to go through Ford Performance and hope they'll pay the engine. So still a little sticky and worrisome, but this is just ridiculous. Saying essentially right now, in my opinion, basically how much trust Toyota is giving out. It looks like you can basically almost conclude that no Toyota should be driven on the interstate in certain parts of the United States at speed of traffic, because your warranty is gone. 85 miles per hour. Jersey Turnpike, you got to go 85 to stay with traffic. Interstate 95 in parts of Florida, you got to go 85. Like 80 seems to kind of be like a bare minimum, and still 80, you've got a lot of people going by you, passing you, and some that are flying by you. 85 miles per hour, come on. Using that as an excuse, saying we've checked the computer, your vehicle, like they're not saying your vehicle spied on you, but obviously your vehicle spied on you. Your vehicle is like a little annoying tattletale from elementary school. You got these little tattletale computers being used as the worst excuses possible. You went above 85. Pay, the whole car yourself. Toyota, you can do better. Shame. Shame on you, Toyota. Smarten up. Because right now you don't deserve a single sale until you correct these two Corollas. Congratulations, you finally admitted wrongdoing and that it's your fault for the Tundra, the new generation of Tundra hybrid engines. You're still saying it's just filings in the motor, and maybe it's that, or maybe you just have a bad design. You don't want to admit to the world that you made a bad design. But this is ridiculous. Now, let me know in the little comment section, was the sound good tonight? Maybe at the beginning, the live, the sound was excellent because I had this near me. Maybe it's not so good once I took it off. Let me know so that I know how to adapt in future lives. And videos, do I need to really have the microphone on me as it is now? Or can it just be away on the table? Oh, great. Great sound. It's fine on or off. Douglas Blair, thank you so much. As a guy that's pretty cautious with his finances, other than buying and crashing vehicles for the channel, I had a lot of trouble kind of spending the money on this microphone system because the last technology I bought was a drone that I've used, once. But hopefully Pat and I get together more often, do some reviews together, and either use my drone or his drone. Folks, thank you so much for watching. I'm very, very lucky to have this community. And to the subscribers, thank you. The subscribers often encourage me to keep going when, I'm thinking, oof, I'd like to spend a little more time with my family. But then I'm like, hey, I've got subscribers that I want to get the important information out to. I don't want to leave them hanging. And to the members, because the members, well, I justified this. I told Marie, I said, look, I'm buying this because the members have been supporting us now for long enough that we've more than from membership price. It's either, from about $2 to $5 to up to $15 per month for the extremely generous people. Ridview, thank you so much. Wonderfully generous. But, we've gotten, from membership that was paid for, and we'll start trying to use that drone that we used membership money on. So thank you so much, folks. Really, really appreciate you all. Good night, everyone. Bless you all. I wish I could say all of that, but who knows, maybe YouTube has a major problem with that phrase, but I'll say half of the phrase. Bless you all. I wish you all a safe, happy week. Take care, everybody. Until next time, I wish you all more cars and more power, and do hope you get to put the pedal to the metal unless you own a Toyota, because they won't cover you. What a bunch of jokesters. They're not funny. Worst comedians out there. Smart. Thank you, Douglas Blair. I appreciate that. Right now, Toyota, smarten up. Get your stuff together, because what you're cooking doesn't smell good. Take care, folks. See you next time.